Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Throwaway Boss Hog, who says, ex-boyfriend and I were vanlifing across the country. He kicked me and all of my stuff out last week. I'm now 2 states away and have his dad's watch. He's demanding I deliver it to him. So yeah, like the title says, we were both remote workers and decided that we could van life and see things while still working. We lasted about a month, and last week he flipped out over the way I sip my coffee and told me I had to leave. I thought he meant like we would pack up and figure out how to get me home. Nope. He meant I needed to get out with all my shit in the middle of a state park in New Mexico and figure it out. I was scared and pissed, so I hurriedly packed everything and got out. A very nice older couple had heard the screaming and saw me with a pile of my stuff and asked if I needed help. I said yes, and they would drive me to Albuquerque in their RV, and we could figure out what would happen next. Well, it turns out they are the sweetest people ever, and we eventually came to the conclusion that it'd be easier for me to travel with them home to Kansas, and now they've allowed me to stay, paying them insanely fair rent, food, etc. I just have to edit the wife's book and help the husband with his guitar playing. Well, it turns out in the hurry of packing, I grabbed my ex's watch that was his dad's. I got in touch with him and told him I was sorry. It was truly an accident and I had no intention of keeping it. How would he like me to get it to him? He said I needed to meet him in Utah. I said that was ridiculous. I could send it to him. He said that it was too valuable to trust to mail or FedEx and needed to be hand relieved. I said I was in Kansas and not coming to Utah, but I would return the watch to his brother when I get home in March. He said the only solution was for me to drive it to him. I said I didn't even have a car. He said, you were probably fucking half of Lawrence. Use one of theirs. At that point, I blocked him. The watch is pretty valuable and has lots of sentimental value, and I will return it. It was my oversight that I have it in the first place. What are my obligations to follow his instructions to get the watch back to him? Edit wow, this blew up. For the people asking, it's a lower end Rolex watch. It still has all the original box and even the receipt when his dad bought it, but it was well worn, so he's never been sure how much it's worth. I guess a few hundred, maybe 1,000, so I'm not sure. I'm not going to keep it or destroy it since it's not mine anyway. Oh, dearie me, this one's giving me the heebie-jeebies. It might be because I saw that documentary on Netflix about Gabby Petito. But thank goodness for those kind strangers who helped her out in this situation. And it sounds like they got a pretty wholesome arrangement. As for the watch situation, his demands are coming across as classic controlling behavior, trying to force her into an unsafe meeting on his terms after showing his already dangerous behavior. And I certainly wouldn't be meeting up with him to return that watch, but Shay Bridgman says you gave reasonable options. Let's say he files a police report that you stole it. You have proof that you contacted him and asked where you could send it. He declined. Never too much thought says dude sounds like a psychopath. Do not under any circumstances willingly meet up with him in person ever again. Don't let him know where you live. This level of douchery is a sign of something being very off, and you don't want to be there again when he short circuits again. You're extremely lucky to have found the people you did. Who knows where you'd be if that had not happened. Another commenter says, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry to hear you're going through it with this psycho. He clearly has issues and thankfully have found nice old people to help you. Listen though, do not hand deliver the watch. He has thrown red flags of mental instability. You have no idea what stupid shit you have to deal with, or God forbid, he gets mad and physical. Just have the watch delivered via priority overnight mail. Package it so it's as close to break proof as possible. Take pics for the court if it even comes to that. Block him and do everything in your power to get away from him. Please do not give him access to you. And a final comment that says call, text or email the brother. Ask if he wants you to mail it to him, insured and with a signature required, or have you deliver it to him next month. If you make arrangements over the phone, be sure to text or email a confirmation afterwards. so you have something in writing. Feel free to add, your brother left me stranded in New Mexico without transportation, so bringing it to you in person now is impossible, and I no longer trust him enough to bring it to him, even when I get a car again. If your egg shows up in Kansas wanting his watch back, see if you can get a ride to the local police department and hand it back there. Unless you already mailed it back to his brother, of course. So OP came in with the update and says, so I posted exactly a week ago. Link below, but short story was I was van living with ex-boyfriend. He kicked me out after a temper tantrum and I caught a ride with some awesome people. I discovered I had ex's dad's watch that had lots of sentimental value. I told him, asked where I should send it. He demanded I drive from Kansas to Utah and return it, even though I don't have a car. And I know it's completely not relevant at all, but I just wanted to Google the actual distance from Kansas to Utah. If I've typed in the right stuff correctly here, it says it's 13-hour drive. But anyway, OP shared the link to their old post and said, well, so lots of mixed advice, but most people said best option was to contact his brother. Before I did that, I decided to unblock my ex just to give him one more chance to give me an address where I could ship the watch. Here's the actual text conversation. OP said, hey, I'm sorry I blocked you. I just didn't appreciate the insults, but I want to get your dad's watch back. Can you let me know where to send it? I'll pay for shipping, no problem. In less than 30 seconds later, he responded, I stashed the watch in your bag because I wanted to prove to myself what an awful person you are, and good job at proving me right again. OP continues with their post and says, I was like, wow. So many people in the original said that he probably put the watch in my stuff as I was packing in order to force communication and force the opportunity to see him again. Well, you were exactly correct. I didn't even respond to his text and blocked him again. I have no intention of keeping the watch, so I decided now it was time to contact his brother, who, along with his wife, have always been very nice to me. He was super appreciative and we spent a couple of days going back and forth figuring out the shipping, but the watch arrived to him on Friday and all is good. He even Venmo'd me $1,000 for being so honest, contacting him, etc. I make really good money, so I told him it wasn't necessary at all, but he insisted, so we agreed to donate it to a food pantry here in Lawrence. But I'm still so creeped out thinking at the day when he kicked me out of the van and he was screaming at me, calling me all sorts of names. He was scheming to stay in touch with me. He was slamming all my stuff into bags, but that was a cover for him hiding the watch. The fact that it was so deliberate, yet he thought of it so quickly is so scary to me. We got along so well before we left, and he always seemed like such a great guy. I don't know if the confined space of the van is too much for any couple, or if it brought out a side of him I didn't know was there. Makes me sad and scared at the same time, but relieved it's over. General Ace said to this one, he framed you to prove to himself that you were awful. He's dumb enough to fall for his own frame job. I really truly can't wrap my head around how stupid he must be. Pistachio Panda says, what I don't get is his logic that this would prove OP's a bad person. How the fuck was she supposed to know about the watch when you kicked her ass out in a state she didn't know about until after she got to safety, possibly thousands of miles away? Like you thought she was just going to be running back to you. Fuck that dude. Rachel Green says, I think in his batshit crazy mind, she was bad to not instantly head to Utah to return it. He's clearly insane. And that was OP's last update on the matter, and I hope they truly did stay away from that person. That sounded like such a scary situation to be kicked out like that, and she felt guilty for it, trying to return the watch. It just shows how relationships like this can mess with your head, because she did nothing wrong in this all the way through. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from Suit Up Woman, who says, am I the arsehole for wanting to wear a suit for my wedding? For my high school graduation, I received a tailored suit. Before then, I'd been a chronic t-shirt and jeans kind of girl. Having one ugly black dress to wear for weddings, funerals, parties, bar mitzvahs, general events. I hated it. Hated making an effort to dress up, and even now, I still really don't like skirts or dresses at all. But I absolutely fell in love with the way I looked in a suit. I wore that suit like it was a second skin. Since then, I've been a little obsessed with men's fashion. I have at least a dozen suits of various models, fabrics and colors. All of them are bespoke, meaning that they were made from scratch and personally fitted, which is admittedly rather expensive, but I use them frequently, both for work and socially, and take very good care of them. None of them are what you would call a woman's pantsuit, as I'm not very fond of the cut, but simply regular suits tailored to my figure. My fiancé of about 5 years normally doesn't comment much on my style. There used to be some arguments in the beginning where he would buy me skirts or earrings as gifts. I don't even have pierced ears, but eventually he accepted the fact that I'd have more use of a good pair of cufflinks or a ring, or just pretty much anything else. We have booked the venue for our wedding on a date a little over a year from now, and we've been throwing around some wedding ideas here and there. Yesterday, I asked him if he had any ideas about what kind of suit he wanted. He doesn't really care about fashion and normally lets me dress him, but I wanted to know if I should book my regular tailor for both of us or not, so that we could perhaps go get fitted together. Make a day of it, you know? My fiancé was very shocked that I wasn't going to get a wedding dress. I was very shocked that he thought I would, since I haven't worn a dress in at least 10 years. We've been arguing since last night, and neither of us have really calmed down yet. He is furious that I wouldn't even wear a dress for a single day for our wedding, and claims that our wedding would look ridiculous if I had a suit, as if he was marrying a lesbian in denial, and that all he wanted was a wedding with a beautiful bride. I told him that he should wear the dress so that I didn't have to have a wedding with an ugly groom. We tried to talk it out earlier today, but we're still too mad to get anywhere, so we've decided to not bring it up right now. But I know he hasn't changed his opinion, and obviously neither have I. I've always wanted to wear a suit for my wedding, and even if it's just for a day, I would still have a bunch of photos and memories, probably even the dress, so I wouldn't just forget that I couldn't have the wedding I wanted. Am I the arsehole? My thoughts as I go through this: how has it got to this point, this relationship this far, and it's just come out now? And that was like the sort of relevant top comment which said, I don't think you should marry someone who hates your choice of fashion. Info: why hasn't this come up sooner? Opie says, I'm pretty sure it has. I used to send him lots of wedding pictures, including women getting married in suits, but since, well, they were all lesbian weddings, I guess he thought it was more of a aren't weddings nice kind of thing, rather than a this image applies to me, even though I intend to marry you, a man. Maybe he didn't think I was serious until I started talking about booking a suit fitting. Opie also adds, it's not like I spoke in rebuses. I would send him an email labeled something like wedding venue ideas with a dozen pictures of venues, or an email called ideas for wedding outfits with a bunch of suits, men in suits, women in suits, no dresses. Not even incidentally, I cropped them out, just suits. Silly Midoff says, everyone sucks here, and quotes, I wouldn't have the wedding I wanted, and then says it is his wedding too. Not gonna lie, it is a little strange, but hell, you can wear whatever you want. But if it's a deal breaker for him as much as you, how can you not understand why he's mad? I know I sound like I'm defending him in this, but I understand this is a fallacy, but you're the one here breaking from, tradition. So he's right to be a bit put off. I mean, I would be. If he decided he didn't want to wear a suit and wanted to wear a dress, and be honest here, wouldn't you be a little put off? Opie says, honestly, I wouldn't mind at all if he were to wear a dress. I don't think there is anything weird or unattractive about men in women's clothing. It pisses me off a little when people immediately laugh at the sight, as if a man in a dress was a punchline. But I don't think I would go bridezilla on my guess, unless someone made a scene because of it. Commenter says, everyone sucks here. You both had your vision of the wedding. I'm surprised you both are as passionate about the outfits as you are. Well, I'm siding with you on the part that you can wear whatever the hell you want on your wedding day. That comment you made was extremely childish, and I'm getting the feeling you don't see it as his wedding too. You're both supposed to spend with each other the longer than you're alive amount of time, and good communication is key for that. Congratulations on the engagement. I'm sure you'll both look beautiful, and you both try to think about all the reasons why you're getting married, instead of what are you getting married? So at some point after that one, OP came in with the update and said, I decided on suggesting that I wear a dress for a while during the wedding, before changing to a suit. So we had a talk after dinner. Long story short, he hates my suits. Hates them. I think I kind of knew already that he didn't like them, or at least he's never complimented me. But he absolutely hates them. Hates that I don't have any feminine clothing. Hates that I never pierced my ears. Hates that I don't wear makeup very often, and that I don't really shave my legs regularly, and I don't have any nice bras, and that none of my hobbies are very feminine. Hates that I only look like a woman when I'm naked. We didn't raise our voices. We didn't shout. I just listened as he calmly told me how much of me that he hates. The fact that I didn't want to dress for our wedding was just the last nail in the coffin, and it proved that I would never get any better. And that was OP's last post on that account, and I was just left afterwards like, how did they even get to that point? But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit. No update as yet, not sure if there will be on this one, but it's from Substantial Goal 957, and it says, Am I the arsehole for refusing to speak to my ex-fiancé before he died? So this might be a bit long. I apologize in advance. Alright, I, 31 female, dated my ex Nico, 33 male for 5 years. From 18 to 23. We were engaged, living together, and planning our future. I was pregnant and I thought we had a great relationship. We sometimes had our ups and downs, but I never saw coming what happened. Basically, I discovered he was cheating on me a month before the wedding. He cheated on me with one of my closest friends, and some of my friends knew and didn't tell me. One finally broke down and decided to tell me everything. Needless to say, I was not only devastated, but angry and confused. I couldn't manage to understand the situation, and I was so overwhelmed because I didn't know how to even begin to deal with the situation. But I understood the healthiest for me choice was to just disappear and start over somewhere else. And that's what I did. I blocked him and the friends that knew and didn't tell me. Even the one that had told me, because she had kept it from me for over 2 months, and I didn't trust her. I deleted my social media, changed my number, and cancelled all of the wedding stuff behind his back. I also took all our money from our savings account and sold the ring. All the stress caused me to have a miscarriage, and no one knew about this because I'd gone back to my hometown and was staying at a hotel. I literally didn't tell anyone I was leaving, but I did tell one of my former friends that he should tell Nico I had a miscarriage. I had no family, and back then I knew I couldn't trust the people I called friends, so I chose to keep everything to myself. I spent over a year traveling around Europe and Asia, and I finally settled in Ireland since I have the nationality thanks to my dad. I'm from South America, to clarify. I still had money thanks to my inheritance, and I bought a small apartment for myself and started working. I surrounded myself with some good new friends, started therapy, and had multiple casual relationships. But it wasn't until I met Alex, 31 male, who's also from my country, that I fell in love again. I met him when I was 27, and it took me a while to trust him. But we eventually got serious. We got married last year, and early this year, we moved back to our country. So I started using social media eventually. My former friends and ex hadn't found out about it at first, but one of them eventually did, and they started sending me thousands of texts. Especially my ex, who kept asking for us to have a simple talk, that he still loved me, that he regretted everything and hadn't been able to move on. This happened 3 years ago, and I chose to send one text to my ex telling him that I didn't hate him or resent him, but that he was just a part of my past. And as he knew, for me the past needs to stay buried. I once wanted to be with him for the rest of my life, but right now, I'm aware of the fact that he was not who I thought he was, and although our relationship taught me that people are not who they seem to be, and I shouldn't trust people so easily, for me, I wasted many years of my youth with him, and that was just it. I told him I was in love with someone else, and not to try and talk to me again, because he would never see my face again in person, and that was the end of it. After that, I blocked them all and put my account on private. Now back to the present. I reconnected with one of my friends from the past, Melissa. She didn't know about the affair and she lost contact with our former group of friends because she didn't trust them because of what they did to me. She told me she had tried to contact me but had no idea how to do it. Although she's not friends with everybody else before, she's still friends with one of Nico's cousins who was never close with him, but that had always been pretty sad. From her, she found out that Nico was sick with cancer and wanted to speak to me. She told me according to Nico's cousin, he had no chance of making it and he just wanted to speak to me. Melissa told me to do whatever felt right, and so did my husband, and I agreed. I decided not to speak to him and just told Melissa she should tell Nico's cousin that I didn't want to speak to Nico. My reason is simple for this. I put everything in the past. I healed from all that situation. It was hard, but I did. I don't need closure, and I know I don't owe him anything. I have no feelings towards him. So I recently found out from Melissa that Nico passed away. Now his family is furious at me. They can't get to my social media accounts, but they got to my husband's. They told him that I was just a bitter bitch and couldn't even grant the wish of a dying man at just speaking to me, telling me that's all he wanted. Alex just blocked all those accounts and put his account on private for a while and told me not to let them get to me, that I did nothing wrong. Although I truly didn't wish to speak with Nico, didn't have anything to say to him and didn't want to hear anything from him either, I began to wonder if I should have just listened to what he had to say, just so that he would go without holding anything. But I don't know if I truly think that, or if I just let the creeps of his family get to me. I don't know. Am I the arsehole? Look, I'm going to be blunt with this. Death, cancer, doesn't erase people's past actions or entitle them to closure at your expense. In the end, whatever Nico wanted to say, whether it's apology or whatever else it may have been, was for his benefit. It wasn't for yours. You handled things in your own way. You removed yourself from that toxic situation. You rebuilt your life. You found happiness and moved forward. And honestly, good for you in that. You prioritize your mental health in an incredibly difficult time. And just, it's honestly impressive. And his family coming after you and at your husband now is just completely out of line. Sure, there's going to be grief involved, but again, that doesn't give them the right to harass you or your husband and make you feel guilty for your simple boundary. But Bob Smith says not the arsehole. Nico did not deserve your pardon nor a cleared conscience prior to passing. You owed him nothing, and his family can cry and whine all they want, but they helped raise and cultivate Nico into the pathetic, manipulative excuse of a man he was prior to his passing. There was nothing Nico could say to really settle accounts, and the decision to forgive him was always yours entirely. His family and Nico himself do not factor into it. Dapper Boss says not the arsehole. He wanted to speak to you to absolve himself of any guilt before he died. It's not your place to make him feel better for what he did. His family are grieving and want someone to blame. You'll do, whether correct or not. He was a young man still taken away by cancer, which is awful, but not your burden to carry. Block them all and live your life. But now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully, I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.